I want to talk tonight about the silence of the teals. Their silence this week is deafening. Apart from the change of government, the big story, of course, from this year's election was the rise of the teals, the so-called independents. They are, as you know, effectively a new political party, a new political movement created by Simon Holmes à Court, a climate activist who inherited hundreds of millions of dollars from his late father, Australia's first billionaire, the mining and resources magnate Robert Holmes à Court. And of course, there is one issue that drives the teals above all else: climate. They are the Greens of the leafy suburbs. They are a party of the green left for people who can afford to drive Teslas and have a Range Rover in the garage to drive to their beach house or farm on the weekends. They are the party of the green left for people with large carbon footprints who can tick the carbon offset box as they buy their first-class overseas flights. They are the party of the green left for people who've saved enough money and now want to save the planet. Here's a sample of their work.
We need to act decisively now to reduce emissions. We need proper plans to prepare for climate change right here in Wentworth. And we need to work together to create a better climate for our kids.
I could not stand by when Australia failed to look after the climate for our children and grandchildren.
Now, the National Cabinet has shown to be a really effective way to deal with nationwide crisis. When it comes to climate change, we know this will be a nationwide crisis.
We're here at the Sydney Opera House. This is an incredible performance installation, this art to show us global warming in action, this piece of ice that melts every day 40 litres, because we are hitting temperature milestones way too fast. We need a plan, we need to act on climate change. It's not that hard.
A piece of performance art. You can say that again. Ice melts in Sydney? My God. Someone alert the media. Yeah, these people are out to save the world, one Australian electorate at a time. Like most politicians, I suppose, the teals are pretty active on social media. And Allegra Spender was out there a week or so back spruiking this scarf, which is supposed to represent a warming planet, with lines of knitting representing years or decades of increasing temperatures. I don't know which year, which temperature is supposed to be the perfect one, mind you. I guess you choose your favourite climate like your favourite colour. But the teals are so similar, they even sport the same scarves.
Sadly, we are heading in the wrong direction. With global temperatures expected to rise by over 3 degrees, we need to act. In a single creative piece of knitting, the warming of our planet is clear for all to see. Global warming will impact every aspect of our way of life, from our health, our safety, our jobs, our economy and our environment.
Yeah, that's the teals. You know their caper. That's what it's all about if you're into this alarmist stuff, this obsession with climate change or global warming and demands for more action and the pretense that Australia can change the global climate. So you would have thought the teals would have been pretty pleased with what went on in Sydney this week.
Some were holding up posters and chanting, while others were far more extreme. They picked up signs, traffic cones and concrete slabs and hurled them onto the road. The CBD rally was wrapping up. A 22-year-old woman allegedly used a hire car to block the southbound lanes of the harbour tunnel. She then chained herself to the steering wheel.
There are some really angry people who were screaming and threatening me.
Officers moved in and cut the steering wheel. She was then arrested and the tunnel was reopened.
Yeah, chaos and mayhem in the city as hysterical protesters beat their global warming drum. This is what you'd expect, right? I mean, the Teals and Labor and the Greens, and plenty in the coalition, frankly, keep telling our young people that the climate is changing, that natural disasters are getting worse, that we're at a tipping point, that there's a crisis, a climate emergency. I mean, how do you expect people to react? These protesters would have been fed the same stuff at school, at university, and in their media diet. They're told the world is on the brink of destruction. What's more, they're told that Australia's emissions reductions are not good enough even though in most countries emissions are increasing and globally emissions continue to rise. In short, we have created a panic deliberately, so no one should be surprised when young protesters go over the top. But what intrigues me is the silence of the teals. Why aren't they out there claiming credit for these protests? Why aren't they out there joining them in their protests? This is their main political cause, isn't it? Or were they dismayed by the protests? Did they think they went too far? I mean, that tunnel that was blocked starts in a teal seat, and it's a tunnel that people from 3 teal seats north of the harbour and 1 south of the harbour need to use every day. So maybe Allegra Spender in Wentworth, Kylea Tink in North Sydney, Zali Steggall in Warringah and Sophie Scamps in McKellar, maybe they were distressed by this lawless behaviour. So why didn't they condemn it? But as far as I can find, there's no comment from them. No social media posts, no comments in the media, no media chasing them down to get their opinions. I mean, do they want to claim credit for climate action chaos, or do they want to condemn it? Surely they can't be agnostic about it. Isn't the planet in dire strife? They've been out this week, the teals, calling for taxpayers to give them more staff, an extra staffing allocation. So they can't remain silent on the protest chaos. This is partly their doing. It's their thing. Are they proud or dismayed? Supportive or critical? I'm happy to speak to any of them about it on Monday on this program, should they actually think their number one issue is actually worth talking about.